We follow 3 women who work for the West Yorkshire Police.
Oh, come here.
I have never, ever been in a house this bad.
Across their week of shifts.
Don't know who they are, don't know where they're from. What are you doing? Bye, see you later.
Frontline policing in Britain is changing.
Come on then.
The percentage of women on the force has almost doubled in the last 20 years.
Whoever's in that vehicle will be getting arrested.
In West Yorkshire, there are now over 3,500 female officers and staff on duty today.
Get your hand behind your back now!
From immediate response...
Get down here!
...to CID.
Obviously, you want to catch the people that have done this.
From those just starting out...
I know. It's not your fault.
...to the decision-makers at the top.
Morning, folks.
Morning, boss.
Thank you very much.
A single shift...
Got him.
...can be a matter of life...
We're just waiting for another ambulance to come.
...death...
I can just see the male, he's sat on the edge of the tracks.
...and everything in between.
There you go, Becky, can you fit in there? You can get lost.
And every officer has their own way of dealing with the job.
Oi! It's not a public toilet.
Sorry.
Cheers, guys. Tired.
And coping with the pressures it can bring back at home.
Hi, Mum. Hi, love, you OK?
Would you want to be a policewoman?
No.
This shoe? This pom-pom?
In Leeds, newly promoted Inspector Louise Julian is getting ready to drop daughter Matilda off before her week of shifts begins.
Kelly's at work today and I'm on my late shift starting at 4, so I've got to spend the full day with her before I go to work. So it's nice, and that's one of the advantages of shift, that I get me and her time.
Meanwhile in Bradford, senior crime scene investigator Jade is also getting ready to start her week. Like Louise, she'll be working a range of earlies, lates and night shifts, all back to back.
The shift patterns can be a bit frustrating sometimes. Everybody else in my life works normal Monday to Friday jobs. So sometimes it's a little frustrating when they're spending time together on a weekend and I'm at work. But that's part and parcel of this role. Crime never sleeps, it doesn't stop, so we have to be able to cover those hours 24 hours a day. And that's part of the excitement of the job, I think.
CSI is a civilian unit. There are over 2,000 women working as staff on the West Yorkshire Force, and over 40 of them are crime scene investigators. Jade is one of the rising stars.
When I was younger, my dad had a magazine subscription to like high-profile murders and unsolved crimes, so that really got a morbid curiosity going within me. Forensic science, it's just a constantly evolving, dynamic area to work in, which keeps me constantly mentally stimulated.
First day back after rest days, first of 7, and I've come in, got all my stuff together, and I've just been assigned my first job. Yeah, no problem, leave it with me.
As a senior investigator, Jade's often assigned the toughest cases. Tonight, she's been called to a sudden death. A body's just been found in a terraced house in Keighley.
I've no idea what I'm heading into here. I've actually got quite limited information. All I know is that somebody's died. I'll get full circumstances once I'm at the scene from the officers that are in attendance.
Over in Pudsey in Leeds, Louise has started her shift. As the patrol inspector, she's responsible for a team of 4 sergeants and 30 constables. It's a role she's getting used to since her promotion 6 months ago.
I would be classed as probably the newbie, and any newbie, it's all about showing what you can do and what you're capable of doing. You are trying to prove yourself. It's a challenge. I like a challenge.
The shift has barely begun when a call comes in. It's urgent, and Louise decides to join her team on the ground. A man they've been hunting for months has just been spotted. He's wanted for a serious domestic assault.
Hey, what do you have a description?
621, not at the moment. Yep, white hoodie, black jacket over the top. That's all that's on the log at the moment.
Yeah, 120, thank you.
Expecting the man to run, Louise has sent everyone she can spare to where he was last reported to have been seen.
She's been asked to ring us whenever she sees him, but he's clearly gone round, he's been banging on the door.
This is the best chance they've had to catch the man in months, so Louise ramps up the search.
We've got a number of units that have come to the area. We need to find him. We need to arrest him.
In Keighley, Jade's begun her investigation at the scene of a sudden death.
Oh God, there's just like bits of blood everywhere.
The victim is a man in his early 40s. Although there are signs he was a heavy drug user, Jade needs to determine if there's anything to suggest that his death is suspicious. Potentially, the whole house is a crime scene.
So it's clearly a bedroom. I mean, there's a mattress, drug paraphernalia everywhere, used syringes, blood. It's just not a very nice environment, to be honest. It's what I'm doing is I'm photographing the scene to paint a picture, to show what kind of lifestyle this person's led leading up until what's happened. It's clearly been used as a drugs den, if you like, where other people have come to use drugs as well. I'm double checking everything before I move. I'm not opening anything, I'm not putting my hand in anything that I can't see, because there is a real risk here. I've just got these gloves on, which won't protect me from a needle prick. They're all used. I have never, ever been in a house this bad. People, including my friends and family, often say to me they don't understand how I can do and deal with the traumatic scenarios that I might have to deal with at work. You do have to be a resilient person to be able to do what we do. The way that I cope with it is that the bad thing has already happened, so there's nothing I can do to change that.
A pathologist will examine the body to determine the cause of death. But Jade must also photograph the man whilst he's still at the scene.
And then I want to do his hands, so I can get ends of his fingers, and then palms and thumb, just so I can show there's no, like, defence wounds or anything on his hands. Sometimes the crux of being a crime scene investigator is to record, preserve and collect evidence, so that family members are going to get the answers of what's happened to their loved one and get the closure that they need. So I've done everything that's been asked of me. There's nothing jumping out at me that's suggesting there's been any sort of altercation or injuries to the body that aren't consistent with drug use or where they've been laid.
Sometimes Jade can go for months without seeing a dead body, but tonight's was the 12th in just 3 weeks.
In the office as CSIs, we discussed the fact that we couldn't do a job such as being a doctor or a nurse because there's an emotional investment of seeing somebody's family, the hurt and the heartache, and you draw parallels with your own family and you get sucked into that emotional side of things and the empathy.
In Leeds, Louise has called out all her available units to join the hunt for a wanted man. Suddenly, he's spotted. It takes Louise and 3 of our officers to make the arrest.
Right, buddy, look for up. Let's get you on your feet. Yeah, back of mine for a time being. Right? Get up. Well. Get up. Get up. No problem. Got him? No problem. Hang on to road.
After 2 months evading West Yorkshire Police following an alleged domestic assault, it's an important arrest for Louise and her team.
Okay, we need to search you. All right, at this moment in time. Okay, you need to just calm down for a bit.
We've been trying to locate this male for a considerable amount of time. So, a good result. And a good result like that, where we've had a little foot chase and we've actually got him, is really good for team morale. You get a little bit of a buzz from stuff like that. When you do catch them, it reinstates to you why you joined this job. Crooksy, they are my cuffs on him for when you've dealt with him.
Yeah, no problem. I'll make sure they come back.
We'd been after this person for several weeks. We'd not been able to locate him. Each day we'd put an undated amount of officers into trying to find him. So there's clearly a cost implication of the resources and the inquiries that we've made, and finding him meant that that could stop.
Louise's decision to send all available units to catch the man has paid off.
Yes!
The inspectors on shift tomorrow can concentrate on other crimes. In Keighley, PC Grace de Turf is leaving her toddler Reuben with family to start her shift. Joining the force at 19, Grace has been a police constable for 9 years.
I've always wanted to help people and to find a job where I can help others and to lock up the bad guys and drive the cars around. So I think it ticked a lot of boxes for me. Some days you can go home frustrated, you don't feel you've done enough for someone. Some days you can come home and feel actually I've really helped someone today, and that's a good satisfaction part of the job.
After spending 6 years with Keighley Response Unit, Grace is on her second spell with the neighbourhood policing team.
Our role in the neighbourhood team is looking at early intervention and prevention of crime, deal with hate incidents or hate crimes and drugs, neighbour disputes, anything that really affects the neighbourhood. This job makes you quite nosy, so you're always looking to see if anyone's up to no good, or there's any cars that, that you just spot and think that doesn't seem right. So you do look around a lot, I think. Look like a little meerkat.
It's 4 p.m. and Grace has pulled over to take a call about a burglary. It would usually be dealt with by a response unit, but they're snowed under, and Grace is closest.
Yeah, we're en route. Okie dokie. So response are a little bit strapped, so we're going to go and help them out. It's usually one of the worst crimes that we see for the victim, because the thought of someone going through your house, going through your things isn't very nice, really.
For Grace, being Keighley born and bred, neighbourhood policing sometimes gets personal.
It's this one. lives here. Is it Laura and Joe? This is a bit weird. Oh, mate, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's weird, isn't it? That I thought that address rings a bell. Oh, come here.
I'm shaking.
It's all right, it's all right.
Joe and Laura are good friends of Grace and her family.
Oh, gorgeous little thing. You get bigger every time I see you. Oh, man, right, where have they got in? That door. Right. I'll put some gloves on and...
She's been at my mum's because I've been went to Halifax, and when I opened the door, blinds were blowing and I thought, that's a bit weird. So I came here,
right, and then
the door were open.
I've snapped the lock. You'll need to get another one today. I'll give you a bit of advice on which locks to get, and then obviously I'd advise you replacing maybe the others as well, prevent it happening again.
Their bedroom's been rifled through. We would have taken my bracelet with Scott Isaac's handprint on, and my friend got
mate,
it.
I'm so sorry.
The loss of the bracelet is particularly devastating. Laura and Joe's first child, Isaac, was stillborn.
Who's going to want a bracelet with somebody else's baby's hand and footprint on? I'm fuming. If they'd have gone in the living room, we've got spare car keys and stuff.
Right, OK, I'm going to have a quick look upstairs. Is that all right? Are you happy with my shoes? You want to take them off? Are you sure? Which, is it left or right at top? Right. So at the minute you can only see a Pandora that's gone.
And a ring.
Right.
I feel sick.
I know.
Like that's out there and it's going to be
awful.
probably tossed in a bin or something.
I know.
Once they realise what it is, they're not going to give
The things you're feeling at the minute are completely normal. In all honesty, if you feel that you can do it, maybe just put a Facebook post out and get it shared, and, you know, hopefully, if they've got any sense of humanity, they'll get it returned to you. Right, we'll go downstairs.
Grace knows only too well what the couple are going through. She first met them at a support group for bereaved parents.
Some officers, they wouldn't have really understood the significance of that jewellery.
It's forever in my heart. Isaac, Joe, my baby boy.
I think every police officer's got their own personal experiences, and I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't draw from those personal experiences. Reuben is our rainbow baby. A rainbow baby is a baby that's born after a loss. In October 2015, I lost my son, Louis. I was 35 weeks pregnant at the time, and our whole world basically came crashing down. The nursery was all ready, you know, the pram had just been bought, and we'd just been laughing about how we'd fit it into our really tiny car in all its boxes, and all of a sudden, that wasn't happening. Little elephant. An elephant never forgets. To then have to plan a funeral and say goodbye to this person, it was just an enormous monster, really, to deal with. I think it was in autopilot for a good sort of 3 months, really, before I really started to come to terms with it. I really struggled with the return to work. It's such a fast-paced environment where we're dealing with other people's quite tragic circumstances was really difficult for me. It's been hard, and it still is. 3 years down the line, I'm not going to say that I don't still grieve, don't still think about him every day, because I do. But those days, those hard days, get fewer and far between the further on you get. You have to focus on the positives, otherwise the grief just eats you alive. I'd rather you got that item of stuff back because it's so sentimental, do you know what I mean?
Questions? What?
I'd wait until forensics have been, because they'll just want to dust round, see if there's anything. Is that all right?
Grace's report on the burglary will join some 26,000 break-ins reported in West Yorkshire in just the last year. Catching those responsible often falls to the CSI unit.
Whoa, what's he doing? Can't just do a Yui there, love.
Being called to a burglary is a daily occurrence for senior investigator Jade Brooke.
I just can't get my head round how people think that it's okay to make a living out of stealing from people in the community. There's been examples of where I've gone and it's even been Christmas Eve and they've taken all the children's presents from a single mother who spent all year buying them, who then has nothing to give her children on Christmas Day.
It's 7 p.m. and she's attending a break-in in Bradford.
I'm there to try and get some forensic evidence that's going to lead us to some suspect names so that we can get justice for these people. Hello, I'm from West Yorkshire Police. If we start from where they've gotten in, what's your cat called? Ches. Shame you don't bite.
Broken the window, that's what I think's happened.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and these are all open as well.
Right, let's have a quick look. Broken in, reached in. Right. Okay. Have they touched anything downstairs apart from that suitcase?
They didn't go in the lounge. It's just all upstairs. It's the ransack. That's my son's bedroom.
All drawers, cupboards, everything out?
Yeah.
The entire house had been ransacked. Drawers tipped out everywhere, clothing everywhere, total disregard to a person's home and their belongings. See, I noticed they've not touched the PlayStation or anything. Right, again, they've just come in, emptied everything out. Oh, wow, yeah, so they've really gone to town.
I don't know what's missing yet.
Finding any clues in such a chaotic crime scene will be a challenge.
I'm just gonna have a quick look outside.
But it could be the best way to catch those responsible.
It looks like they've tried jemmying the window first and not been very successful because there's some damage around here and here. And then obviously they've just decided to smash it instead and open it from the inside. With it being a smashed window, there's obviously sharp edges, so it'd be interesting to look for blood. Unfortunately, it's been absolutely banging it down with rain. So it's probably washed anything away if there was anything here in the first place.
Every room has been ripped apart. Jade needs to see past the devastation in her hunt for clues to start building a picture of those responsible.
Brand new, my husband's watch, it's still there.
Yeah, PS4.
I paid £150 for it.
Yeah, so to me that's an expensive watch.
To me it is.
They'll go to the nth degree, to the point where they're even opening jars of cream.
It's clear to Jade that the burglars have been methodically searching for something specific.
As the examination progressed and the homeowner was going round tidying areas up that I'd finished examining, she was becoming aware of items that had been stolen and were missing.
My velvet pouch has gone with all my gold in.
Right, okay.
That's gone.
Where was that?
That was in my bedside cupboard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all upside.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you've got loads of other jewellery.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking, really, because she was genuinely beside herself once she realised what items weren't there anymore.
No, I think they can't take that. I kept it because it was my mum's. And it's not here. Here is gone from there.
Was that gold again?
It appears that the thieves were after one thing: gold. Jade's seen similar burglaries before, but before she shares her suspicions, she needs more proof.
There doesn't appear to be anything that I can do a DNA examination on, so I've moved on to fingerprinting. We've got this like zigzag pattern, which is consistent with glove marks. You can tell that potentially it's been a little bit maybe wet at the time and it's been raining all day, so it's just smear marks, but that texture pattern is indicative of glove marks as opposed to ridge detail for a fingerprint. But they've definitely been in this item. I've got 2 different types of glove marks so far on your items.
Oh, close.
Yeah. Can you see the smudge marks there?
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, unfortunately.
Missing gold, 2 burglars, both wearing gloves. It has all the hallmarks of an increasing number of break-ins in the area.
In instances where your gold's gone, and only your gold's gone, it seems to be the same group that's going around and doing this.
Jade's established that this was the latest in a spate of burglaries by a gang targeting gold belonging to Asian families in West Yorkshire. She'll pass her conclusions on to CID, hopeful that they'll find a way to close in on the gang.
We've asked for photographs. We can circulate that and also identify it if it does come into our possession in any way from doing house searches on other suspects that have been linked to other offences. Officers will canvass the area in terms of talking to neighbours for witnesses, CCTV inquiries and just general intelligence inquiries. So fingers crossed something comes from that at least.
"10 miles away in Keighley, neighbourhood PC Grace de Turf is also on a late shift alongside Special Constable Peter Rainford. They've been called out by a young mother who's reported a gang throwing things at her windows.
For this job, obviously, I'm concerned about there being a baby at the address and a young female who's on her own. Is she being targeted by people because she's a young female with a baby, or is there more to it? She's obviously quite scared enough to ring the police anyway. Just looking to see if there's any kids about.
The victim sounded distressed, making her call.
I think it's that one up there.
And Grace and Peter have no idea if those responsible for the attack are still at the scene.
There's a few apples and tins and stuff on the grass, so I wonder if that's what's been thrown.
Think, right, if this was me, the young single mum, at home on my own with my newborn, and people were throwing bricks at my window, I'd be pretty scared too and try and sort of put myself in that situation, really.
Hi, yes. Hello. Hello, what's your name?
It's called Cairo.
Cairo? It's an unusual name. My little boy's called Ruben. Oh, hello.
Grace will need to ensure the flat is secure.
How are you coping?
I'm all right.
But her first priority is the welfare of the victim and her baby.
So, what's been going on? So you've had, I'm guessing they've been running up and down this landing here.
They're banging, they're screaming, they're throwing stuff at my window. I'm sat in here.
You're on your own, aren't you?
Yeah, and if it's coming through and it's him.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
completely get that. Yeah. Don't know who they are, don't know where they're from.
No.
No problem. Do you know if any of the other neighbours have you do you speak to neighbours?
Not really, but the two
I'll go have a word with next door. Yeah, I'll go have a quick word.
Like that. That's great, thank you. Can you describe any of them?
Then there were just 4 lads.
Okay. So you haven't had any bother with anyone in particular? No issues with any?
I think female to females sometimes are good. I think probably worked slightly better than my colleague who doesn't have children at this moment in time.
Obviously, if they come back, just keep ringing us because the more logs we get, the more we're aware of where to be and what times to be there.
In this situation, mum to mum actually probably helped.
Because it'll get to a point where we'll turn up and they'll be here. And just keep a little log yourself, you know, if you've got a bit of paper, just write it down. And what I'll do is I'll mention it to the local officer. We'll have a drive round now.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Any more bother, just give us a ring, because obviously we want to make sure he's all right and that you're all right. Yeah.
With mother and baby safe and reassured, Grace wants to see if she can find the troublemakers.
Do you want to come and lock the door behind? Is that all right? Right, yeah. Thank you very much, anyway. They know anyone?
4 or 6 of them. Youngest he thinks is 10.
Right,
up to the oldest of, like, you know, late teens.
Right, okay.
Just throwing all sorts, been going on for a couple of weeks.
Right, okay. Yeah. Ooh.
There's no sign of the gang or any other disturbance in the area.
Might just be that these kids are just bored and have nothing else to do, so they decide they're just going to go and upset people and
causing a bit of bother and getting the police to turn up.
It's more fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more
exciting.
interesting. But hopefully She feels a bit more reassured.
Yeah. Oh, the baby was so sweet. Oh, it makes me broody. Come on then. Say hi.
In Leeds, it's the last day of Inspector Louise Julian's week of shifts. She's on the night shift, so she's got to spend the morning with daughter Matilda.
I love my job as police officer. She was? But nothing compares to being a mum.
The last few years has seen many happy changes in Louise's life. Newly married, becoming a mum, and now the dream promotion. But 11 years ago, it could have all turned out very differently.
I was responding to a blue light call and I lost control. It was icy and wet, so I fishtailed in one direction, then I fishtailed in another, and I ran out of the road and went onto the curb and then smashed my car, patrol car, into a lamppost. They got a call to say that there was a police car on its roof, and then they called up, and I do not remember this, but apparently I was calling my call sign up and saying, I think that's me, which clearly it was, and saying that I didn't know where I was and that I couldn't move. I had to be cut out by the fire brigade and blue light and down. It happened in January, but I wasn't fully fit enough to go back on patrol until September. You know, part of this job is that we understand that we can end up putting ourselves in very difficult, dangerous situations. But now I've got to think about the impact that, you know, if something happened to me, what effect that would have on, you know, not only my daughter, my wife, you know, and my family.
After a long week of shifts, Senior CSI Jade Brooke is heading out to her final case.
Whiskey Romeo 61. I'm code 5 to log 6.
She's been called out to a woman who's been the victim of a domestic attack.
It's actually quite sad how common a job it is. My heart really does go out to people in these situations. You've been injured by somebody that you love and you're having to go through this process of potentially getting that person in trouble when you love them, but you know that this shouldn't be happening to you.
Jade's going to document the women's injuries, so the photos can be used as evidence.
Are you okay with a flash on a camera? So you're not epileptic? Right, okay. First off, take one of your face, just to show it's you. And then injuries one by one. It's up to you if you want to stay sitting or standing. So if you just look straight forward for me. Sorry, it's not really good. Yeah, it's like 2 big scratches, isn't it? That's quite big. I don't know what's going on there, but it depends how you bruise. Must have grabbed you quite hard.
A challenging part of dealing with victims of domestic violence is the fact that you're on a one-on-one level with somebody who you're asking to methodically relive this traumatic experience that's happened to them. So it's important to be compassionate, take it at their pace.
And if you want to have a breather or stop for 5 minutes at any point, just let me know.
I'm not just there to take the photographs. I'm there to not add to the trauma of this experience. And I don't want to make it any worse of an experience than it already is.
I hope to God nobody else ends up in the same situation. Well, evidence that they don't change, unfortunately.
Jade's photos could be the difference between a successful conviction and the suspect going free.
All the best to you, take care.
It's the end of a long week of shifts.
Misconception of CSI is we're heartless and we don't have that compassionate side, because we totally do.
Sometimes the hardest part of what we do is finding that balance between being emotionally resilient but also still allowing yourself to feel, because you can't just shut off from feelings, otherwise you're not processing it.
In Leeds, Louise is once again out on the front line. Some of her team need backup.
We're going to assist two of my sergeants that have attended a domestic call. They've arrested the suspect and on arresting them they've kicked off. And due to the level of violence, we're going up to assist them. As the inspector, there's various things that are going through your mind. One of mine is, the welfare of my own officers. How will we deal with him when we get there? What level of violence is he offering?
We'll have a look, eh?
Yeah. Here goes his jacket. Right.
All right, mate. I'm not, I'm just walking away.
Do you want to put that up?
Had a beer.
We've made friends since.
Has he been searched?
The man is drunk and unpredictable.
Well, mate, shuffle your sending.
Hello, it's Louise Julian. How are you? I have a adult male for section 47. Can you accept, please? I don't usually have to transport for you, though.
I even got to use the line. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Right.
Cheers.
Happy hunting.
One of the arresting team would usually take the man back into custody, but given his volatility, Louise is taking charge.
All right, mate. All right, we're taking you to stay back, all right? Because you've been arrested. You've been arrested on suspicion of assault. Assaulting your dad. Domestics have been on the increase. On a day-to-day basis, I'd say anything up to a quarter, if not more, of our workload will be dealing with domestic-related incidents.
5 minutes after setting off for the station, Louise's instinct to monitor the man proves correct.
What are you doing? Why are you banging your head on side? All you're going to do is hurt yourself. It's our responsibility to maintain their welfare. What are you doing? From the level of violence he was offering to the cage, I determined that the best way was just to get him there as quick as possible. Yeah, just for your information, our suspect in our van keeps banging his head against the cage. We are now blue lighting it to Steinbeck.
Blue light it to Steinbeck, thank you.
If his behaviour continues, Louise will have to divert to a hospital. But she keeps him calm and safe all the way to custody, where he can be charged.
Control W.
And Louise can get back to overseeing the shift.
We're in Leeds, yeah? Yes, I am the inspector, and my overall responsibility is the coordination of the team. But I am still a police officer. Me going out on the front line, they see that I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, and it builds a different level of respect.
Oh, good lad. Right, go on, straight through.
And the fact that I'll stand there with them, shoulder to shoulder, and I'll deal with whatever they're dealing with. It's also important for me.
There we go, let's go. Hold Mama's hand.
After 6 days of shifts, neighbourhood PC Grace de Turf is finally off duty.
Go.
And the first thing she wants to do is spend time with her son Reuben.
This time with Reuben's so special for us as a family. I cherish every little moment I have with him. I probably do so more than anyone else. And every little milestone that he hits is just an amazing achievement for us as a family.
Grace is now using her own experience to help colleagues. She's become West Yorkshire Police's first pregnancy loss officer.
1 in 4 pregnancies will end in a miscarriage, and I was shocked that this wasn't being mentioned and that this wasn't really being talked about. We have so many women within our force that we'd be mad to think that this wasn't affecting us. And it's drilled into you that you keep calm and carry on. And I thought, well, if this has been a bad experience for me, how can we make it better for other people? And I speak quite openly at conferences, and I'll speak on training days about my experience. We're still early days, but the word is getting out there within the force that actually that opportunity to learn and to become better at talking about it is there.
For one of the force's newest inspectors, there's one final call-out before the end of her shift.
Hey up, mate. No, I don't mind. Just to let you know I'm off to HQ. I will do. I'll see you later. Bye. Today I am currently en route to our headquarters in Wakefield. I've been sprucing myself up because I have my promotion handshake with the chief today. I've worked hard to get promoted, and it's just the way of putting, I suppose, the icing on it that I get my little handshake congratulations from the chief.
Louise is one of an increasing number of women who've made it to the rank of inspector in West Yorkshire.
15 years ago when I joined, there was very few female inspectors. So personally for myself, to go and get my handshake from the temporary chief is nice. Thank you. Yes, sir, you? Thank you, sir.
Have a photograph. Congratulations on your promotion.
A bit of you does feel that you're doing this for the women in the force.
Good, congratulations, well done.
Thank you, sir. You do feel like you're doing it for everybody. When you've had a week where you've been chasing suspects, tussling with suspects on a floor to try and arrest them, it's different and it's something nice to put, just caps off your week.
I'm not.
Right, do you want to put Van up?
Forever in my heart, Isaac Joe, my baby boy.